What if the answers you've been praying for didn't come as a sign, but as a quiet feeling you couldn't explain? In a world filled with noise, deadlines, and distractions, two hearts begin to hear something deeper, something sacred. Not loud, not rushed, not forced, just a whisper. A whisper that sounds like peace. A whisper that feels like home. But when love comes wrapped in divine timing, how do you trust it without losing yourself? In the heart of Vancouver, two lives marked by loss begin to discover that God doesn't always shout. Sometimes, He whispers. This is the story behind the glory. And this is episode 13, Whispers of the Heart. The city rose like every other day, busy, beautiful, unaware that two stories were quietly entwining in its midst. For Gloria Matthews and Dr. Alex Thompson, life continued with meetings, church, and family. Yet somewhere between routine and revelation, something sacred had begun to whisper. It was a bright afternoon at the BC Provincial Secretariat. The task force had just submitted its final draft to Ottawa. The mood was light, celebratory. Gloria sat across from Alex at the luncheon table, laughter gliding between them like an old friendship reborn. "I suppose now we can both sleep without thinking of deadlines," she joked. Alex smiled. "Until they find something else for us to fix." She chuckled. "Then maybe that's our calling, to keep things in order." Their laughter wasn't loud, it was light, the kind that happens when two souls feel seen. Later that evening, Alex and Gloria met for coffee, a tradition that had slowly grown from convenience to comfort. The cafe was calm. The scent of roasted beans and the hum of light jazz filled the air. Alex stirred his coffee slowly. "I've been meaning to say this," he began. "You carry peace like it's natural. How do you do that?" Gloria smiled gently. "Peace isn't natural, Alex, it's practiced. Every morning I choose it again." He nodded, thoughtful. "And does it ever get lonely?" She looked up, her eyes warm but honest. "Sometimes, but peace is better than chaos disguised as company." They shared a quiet smile, not flirtation but understanding. Across town, Clara Thompson called her father that night from Toronto. "Dad, I can tell from your voice. You're smiling more these days." He laughed softly. "Am I?" "Yes," she said gently, "and I'm happy for you. You've carried the memory of Mom with such honor. But maybe it's time you carry joy, too." Alex paused. "Clara, it's not that simple. She's special. But I'm careful. I don't want to rush what God hasn't confirmed." Clara's tone softened. "Maybe confirmation comes as peace, not a sign." He smiled. "You sound like your mother. Sometimes love's permission is spoken through the mouths of our children." Meanwhile, at Gloria's home, Daniel, now in his final grade of high school, noticed something new in his mother's eyes. A softness, a peace. "Mummy," he said one evening, "you've been smiling at your phone lately." She laughed. "Oh, Daniel, it's work. Dr. Thompson just sent updates on our project." He grinned teasingly. "Dr. Thompson, huh? The one who came to church that time?" "Yes," she replied, trying to stay composed. Daniel leaned back, smiling knowingly. "He seems like a good man, just be careful, Mummy." Her smile faded slightly, touched by his concern. "I will, my son, always. Even love ordained by heaven must earn the blessing of those who call you Mummy." That night, Gloria knelt by her bedside, hands clasped. "Father," she whispered, "I'm not asking for romance, just direction. If this peace is your doing, teach me to walk gently." The soft light of her bedside lamp glowed over the open Bible. Psalm 37:23. "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." She smiled faintly. "Then order mine too." Love anchored in prayer doesn't rush to bloom. It waits for the season God planted it for. A few days later, Alex stopped by her office with a file in hand. "Mrs. Matthews," he greeted lightly, I came to drop the final signed copies of the agreement. She smiled. You could have emailed it. I could, he said, smiling, but I'd rather say thank you in person. For everything. The work, the patience, the faith. Her expression softened. And I thank you too, for reminding me that integrity still has a face. They exchanged a brief, lingering look, one that spoke gratitude but carried the echo of something more. That Sunday, they both found themselves at Grace Chapel, Vancouver again. The sermon that morning was titled, When God Restores, He Multiplies. As the worship team sang, Because of Who You Are, Gloria lifted her hands in worship, the same song that would later mark her birthday proposal. Alex watched from a few rows behind, not in attraction but in awe of the strength of a woman who had learned to praise after pain. In that sanctuary, heaven was no longer mending them, it was aligning them. Later that month, Grace Chapel organized a community outreach for single parents and refugees. Gloria led the legal advisory group. Alex coordinated the logistics team. As they worked side by side, distributing supplies, encouraging families, praying with strangers, something unspoken passed between them. At one point, a young widow thanked them through tears. You two make hope look possible again, she said. Gloria and Alex exchanged a glance, humbled, quiet. And sometimes, God uses others to announce what you haven't yet admitted. As they drove back from the outreach that evening, the sun melted into the horizon. You remind me of my late wife sometimes, Alex said softly. Gloria turned slightly. In what way? Not in appearance, he replied gently. In grace. In how you carry people's pain as if it's sacred. She smiled faintly, blinking back tears. Then maybe we both know what grace costs. The heart doesn't fall in love with faces, it falls in love with familiarity, with souls that sound like home. That night they both prayed, in separate homes under the same sky. Gloria whispered, Lord, I'll walk only where you lead. Alex prayed quietly, Lord, if this is from you, let peace remain. And so, the whispers of the heart became prayers of faith. Two stories once marked by loss were now being rewritten, not by longing, but by divine orchestration. Heaven was not rushing them, only preparing them. And so, the whispers remained. Not loud enough to rush them, but strong enough to guide them. Because when God writes a love story, He doesn't begin with romance, He begins with peace. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of God's timing, or stirred something deep within you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. Share it with someone who needs to believe in love again. And subscribe to join us on this journey of faith, healing, and divine storytelling. Because the story is not over, and what comes next may test everything they've learned. Episode 14, The Test of Time, is coming. Until then, keep listening. Heaven is still whispering.